So having talked about the strategic plan, I'd like to talk about a few things that you mentioned in that strategic plan. One of the ones being equipment. We do run volume. It's a lot, right? I mean, people think about their wear and tear on their own vehicles just in life, right? I mean, our job is to getting these vehicles and make tough runs, right? All over the city, and sometimes TIFMAS all over the state or all over this nation sometimes. How do we replace them? I know we've been very fortunate to replace several fire trucks and about 2 ambulances a year. So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that process. What is it? How long does it take to get fire trucks? And I know how involved this process is, so I don't want you to tell everybody everything, because we could do a whole show just on that. But how long does it take? How does it look like getting the money to pay for these trucks? And then how long are they going to last? How long before we have to start looking at replacing them again?
So let's start with the ambulance replacement. So the vehicle that receives the most wear and tear, because the most call volume is our ambulance. 75% of all of our call volume is EMS. An ambulance will traditionally run about 3 years frontline, and then we'll have it in a reserve status for approximately 3 years. So a 6-year life. And some people that don't realize the wear and tear on these vehicles, like 6 years, that's not very long. Well, in the first 3 years of that ambulance life, it's going to put on over 100,000 miles. These aren't easy miles. No. These are hard miles. All in-town driving, all gas, all brake, because you're driving to an emergency call. Anywhere from 10 to 15 calls per day, with different crews swapping in and out. Lots of movement in and out of the cab. Seats wear out. The vehicle gets, in a 3-year time, a vehicle gets worn out. So how do we replace it? So we are fortunate enough that city budget has allocated cash flows, the money needed to replace 2 ambulances every single year. And every year, the cost of ambulance continues to go up. That's why during the strategic plan, we looked at new and inventive ways to reduce the costs. So a new ambulance, and this is a sticker shock, is approximately $340,000. That's a new cabin chassis and a new box module. That does not include any equipment in that ambulance. $340,000.
And we have 13 ambulances.
And we have 13 ambulances, and they last 6 years.
Yep.
So how can we reduce that cost? I talked about refurb. It's commonly referred to as a remount. Basically, they take that box module, they remove every soft surface in it that could be contaminated with any number of things, and they replace it. They replace any electrical modules. They will also replace the flooring in there, reconstruct that ambulance box module, and place it on a brand new chassis. Well, what does that cost? It saves about $110,000 per unit per year. Now, those cost savings are passed on to our citizens.
Right.
Because we could just say, no, we need a new one every year, but a box module will traditionally last 20 to 25 years depending upon wear and tear, and it can be remounted up to 3 separate times. Okay, now let's talk about the fire truck side. NFPA recommends a engine, a fire truck, a pumper, to be replaced every 15 years. A ladder truck is extended just a little bit because it doesn't have as high of a call volume. Its recommendations every 20 years. So we, in San Angelo, we take very good care of our vehicles. Our run volume is moderate. It's not extreme like what you might expect in the Metroplex. Right. So we do get a full 15 years out of a lot of our vehicles. Now let's talk about costs and delivery times. This is where it starts to get tricky, and we have to play a very strategic game. Current production on most engines is over 3 years. Heavy rescue trucks and ladder trucks, production is about 4 years. So when you start approaching that end of useful life on that vehicle, you need to have the funding available 4 years before it's time to replace those vehicles.
So on a ladder truck, you're at year 16, you're thinking about year 20 of service life.
At year 12, you're planning on that vehicle needs to be replaced, because it's going to take 2 to 3 to 4 years to come up with the funding to purchase that ladder. Yeah. So when it's year 16, it needs to be purchased. Right. So by year 20, it can be replaced.
Well, that's why you're the fire chief. I can't even. I'm a fireman. I can't count real good. So
So I will tell you the cost of the fire apparatus over the last 10 years has gone up tenfold. And a lot of this because it comes with EPA emission standards, crash avoidance. A fire truck is no longer. Let's look at the standard vehicle. 10 years ago, how many electronics were in a standard vehicle? How many navigation systems were in a vehicle?
Right.
How many vehicles nowadays drive by themselves?
yeah.
So all this technology has bled over into the fire service, and then a lot of NFPA standards have mandated a lot of these changes to take effect, and it has done nothing but raise the cost of a vehicle. So again, the funding for this is finance and budget. We cash flow. We allocate a certain amount of dollars every year to come up with the funding to purchase a vehicle. The schedule to keep us on a 15-year/20-year replacement is in a 3-year period. We purchase two trucks, and that'll keep us on about a 15-year replacement.
Awesome. Cool. I know it's a big process. You know, when I think all of us, even as kids, you know, and a lot of the public appearances that we go to. I mean, that is the visual representation of the fire department is a fire truck, right? And when we go to these things, oh, a fire truck. But the process that goes into purchasing that fire truck, speccing out, getting that fire truck here, and then replacing that fire truck, I know it's a lot. So I really wanted to talk about how we, you know, when our public are seeing these ambulances and seeing these fire trucks, what process goes to them even getting here, you know, the color they are, the striping that's on them, the lights, all of it, you know.
So what is the cost of a new engine?
So in 2024, we replaced engine 3 and engine 5. 15 years ago, when engine 5 rolled in brand new shiny into the station, I was just a driver, and I remember asking the fire chief.
You were young then.
I was young then.
Younger.
So I remember asking the fire chief how much it cost. And why I remember this, I don't know, but it was about $250,000. That was 15 years ago. We just replaced engine 5, and it cost $900,000. And currently, if I were to spec one out right now, it would be over $1 million. In a 15-year period, the price of that vehicle's tripled.
Wow.
It's incredible amount of money that a fire apparatus costs nowadays. But again, I explained on some of the reasons as to why. Whenever you are trying to spec out a vehicle, we do have a standard spec that we use now because we have refined that over the years to meet the needs of our department. So it's a little easier now, but if we were to scrap that design and start from the very beginning, you can customize every single aspect of a fire engine to the point where it would take a long time to write every single specification. So we use the model that we currently have. If there is something we want to change, we address those little changes.
Well, and that gives us continuity in our fleet, right? You know, exactly. You talked about different shifts, right? So we have 3 shifts. There's about 50 plus people on each shift. So you got a lot of different people coming and sitting in that truck. So as they're at station 2 or station 5, at least hopefully, right, they get behind a truck that looks just like the one that they saw the day before.
Uniformity to me is a really big deal. I want a guy to go from, or a gal, I want personnel to go from station 2 to station 3, and that vehicle be very, very similar to what they have at their home station. And the same is to be said with the ambulances. I want every medication, I want every needle located in the exact same place, so no matter where they're at on any rig, they know where stuff is at, and it's familiar to them. Standardization.
We all know in second counts, there's no time for you know, oh, this compartment's different. Oh, this shelf's different, right? You know, it is huge to be able to reach up and go, I know it's here. You know,
It's a big difference.
No, that's a big deal.